Madam Chairperson.
No, Chairman.
Madam Chairman, distinguished leaders of our party, distinguished members of the press, members of my team, ladies and gentlemen. Let me again apologize for the short notice for which this meeting was arranged. And when we eventually agreed to host you people today, we were also challenged with the venue. And instead of going to make an arrangement in an hotel, which eventually was going to make it impossible for us to meet today, we decided on the advice of Madam Chairperson and Chief Metu that we can manage the space in my office, and that is why you are juked like this. But please, my sincere apologies. Let me also say that it's indeed my great privilege, and you've made it so easy and simple for me to have this interaction with you. Because today, we can say in our country, we are in a country that is in search of nationhood. We are in a nation that is in search of conscience. And we are in a party that is in search of a direction. And when I have before me men and women that have made the party what it is, that had brought the party to where it is today, then I think I am privileged to stand before a great audience that I can be at liberty to challenge them to rise to the task ahead of us. Yes, we have a new leadership in our party, but importantly, the experience you have acquired over the years, the legacy you have left behind, and indeed I can describe this particular team as the custodian of the values of PDP. Any institution that has no principle, values, and institutional memory is bound to falter on the way, and in fact a great risk to those who join that institution. And so I am privileged to have this interaction with you, and I can only appeal to you that at times it's really not in this matter, it's really not in my speaking to you. It's rather in your speaking to me and I to you, and we exchange views to find a way forward. At times, I ask people, I don't really spend a lot of energy asking people maybe to support me. I rather make a lot of effort to ask people to do the right thing. And in doing the right thing, you have the nation first, you have our own future and the future of our children second, and indeed you have our party, up before you. And so today, my very special appeal will be for us to interact. Let me know how you feel, then I share with you how I feel. But that does not, for any reason, remove from the fact that I aspire to the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the basic reasons that I believe I am fitted for the job. I am prepared for the job. And for every other reason, for equity and fairness, it is the right thing to support me. And that right thing is actually what I'm asking you to do today. I know that you have interacted with a number of my colleagues. I know that many have shared their opinion on what the situation is and what they can do. I also know that many have presented their CV for your consideration, but there is nobody here that I have not worked with. There is nobody in this room that I have not worked with. So I don't need to tell you what I am, whom I am, what I can do. The only thing I can tell you is that you and I know that I will not learn on the job. I have had experiences that are cognate on the job. I have had exposures that are appropriate on the job. And I have acquired knowledge and competence that are most suited for the job. If you ask me, what are the main challenges that an applicant to become the president of Nigeria today will face? Broadly categorized: political, economic, social. At times when we categorize it this way, you will first have the temptation to look at where it pains most. And of course, where does it pain most? The economy is down, the country is divided, security is imperiled, and our children are out of school and out of jobs. But I have maintained one thing, that when I talk about PDP, I talk about PDP with honor, with pride, with dignity. And when I talk about the situation we find ourselves today, I ask people that what we are seeing today is the difference between APC and PDP. Right. I started with PDP in 1999. And by the time we were coming from the background where the country was almost in total collapse. As at that time, there was an annulment of June 12th, so the political crisis of the country was getting out of control. As at that time, by the military leadership of the country over a long period of years, Nigeria was a pariah nation. As at that time, when we were coming, Nigeria was heavily indebted or weighed down by foreign debts. PDP took over. By inclusive government, rewielded the country and built unity. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We are loyal.
Thank you, sir.
So, as I was saying, when PDP took over, we reunited the country. When PDP took over, we secured debt forgiveness. When PDP took over, our economy again started on the path of growth. When PDP took over, the pariah status was removed. I also know that at that beginning, shortly after that, 6 months to the first 1 year, that a threatening militancy started in the Niger Delta region, and the economy of the country was under severe threat. By the leadership of PDP, that was managed, and until today, the greatest achievement of that management was that most of those, because they are citizens of this country, we have restored them to productive lives. Many of them are now professionals, many of them are now politicians, many of them are now teachers, academicians, many of them are now contractors, but importantly, they now add to the economy. We moved from Obasanjo to Yar'Adua, and because Yar'Adua did not draw a line between Obasanjo's government and his government, which means we maintained the principle that government is a continuum. Yar'Adua was able to continue from where Obasanjo started, and everything was seamless. The debt, we have secured the forgiveness permanently, was out of the way. The militancy was out of the way, and all that. And continually, the country was on the path of growth. We moved from Yar'Adua to President Goodluck Jonathan. By inclusive governance, Goodluck was able to harness the best hands across the country. The economy was rebased, and Nigeria's economy became the fastest growing in Africa and the largest. The country was still more united, the challenges reduced, and all that. Then, just between 2015 to today, what is the difference? APC. So, at times when I make presentation like this, I tell people, I realize the economic challenges we are facing. I realize the fact that the prosperity and growth enablers like security, education, health, how badly and how deeply they've gone down. But I realize that the only thing that can make the difference is leadership. If we today dwell on all those symptoms and indices of this, we may be scratching the surface. The truth of the matter is that it is the leadership that actually gives life and direction to every other sector of the polity and makes it what it should be. It is that leadership that I want to provide. It is that leadership that I have grown with. It is that leadership that I have worked with. It is that leadership I want to deploy with improvement. I want to say, when I talk about this leadership, whenever we are in election season, to the ordinary person, we are doing election. But I always call ourselves to remembrance that we are recruiting the leader who will make or mar our future. If we recruit the wrong leader, our future will be marred. If we recruit the right leadership, it will give direction to the polity and everything will go better, will go up. Today, let me say with emphasis that it is men and women like you that need to provide that direction that our party needed to make sure that they are not distracted or deceived as before. We have been misled before. We have been deceived before. After these primaries we are talking about today, Nigerians will be left with only 2 candidates to choose from. The options will be grossly narrowed. So if you are not able to make the right choice at this level, you are going to leave Nigerians with no choice than to take whatever that they see. But all of us will pay for it. If I am to lay out how I want to address each and every problem that is before us, we won't go from here today. But for the purpose of this meeting, I want you people to look inwards and be the conscience of our party. Because the values and principles of this PDP resides in you. You've applied it, you've worked with it, you have used it to deliver. If you fail to do that, the party will be misled and we will get it wrong. If we get it wrong, 2 options. We may lose the election, or even if we do not lose the election, eventually a wrong leader will emerge and the country will suffer. Well, let me say that recently, of course by NEC yesterday, it has been cleared that the issue of zoning and rotation should take a backstage, then let the floor be open. Very well and good, very fine and good. Even within the confines of the contest being open to all, two things I advise. And I know that you will understand much more than any other person what I mean. I have canvassed severally. I said in a democracy, there are three certainties that once you remove from democracy, it can no longer be democracy. And they are certainty of tenure, certainty of process, and indeed certainty of structure. You must know the structure, the limits of your constituency, the structure of the system you are running, you are going to contest, or whatever you are going to do. You must know the process, it must be certain. And that is why every structure, every constituency is definitely delineated to be sure and certain. Then the process from one step to the other is usually definite and certain. Then the tenure for which you will spend is definite and certain. These three certainties, you don't move it. My suggestion is that as a true party man, whatever decision my party takes, I abide by it. But we should be sure that we don't find ourselves in a situation where midway the process will change, or midway the structure will change, or midway the tenure will change. Because the outcome may not be visible now, but it will impact tomorrow. Another point I want to make before I sit down so that I take questions, explanation, comments, and inputs from you, then in response I can address all other issues, is that as it is today, there is something our party must not overlook. We must, for every reason under the sun, realize that Nigerians are looking onto us and indeed waiting for us. And what does that imply? Is to test the conscience of this party. That's actually, it's not that they are looking at our faces, how beautiful they are. They are actually looking at us to know what actually is PDP. What is the conscience of this party? If we disappoint them, it will be a long haul. It will be disappointment from primary to election. If we satisfy their expectations, it will also be an encouragement from primaries to the general election. I leave this with you as I ask you and indeed pray that you think through what I have said and consider that the major thing I am presenting on the table, that I will provide that leadership that will set a new foundation for Nigeria and start the rebuilding of this nation. I am that nation builder that has come at a time like this to rebuild Nigeria. Thank you.